The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us here at FRC Media as we head closer to the preliminary election, which is set for September 19th. We're speaking to as many candidates as possible. The names you will see on the ballot when you go to the polls that day. We're going to focus today on the City Council race, and I'm pleased to be joined by current City Councilor Laura Washington. Councilor, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. So, you know, you're in an odd position. 2 years ago when you ran for the first time, you finished 11th, just outside. Councilor Trottley resigned. You were able to be appointed to a seat. You've been in office about a year and a half, 15 months or so.
15 months, yeah.
So what's that been like for you? I know I asked you this the end of last year. I said, you know, what's the first year been like? So what's it been like for you?
I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's, I would say, better than I expected. There's so much that you can do and get done. I enjoy the process of being on City Council and being able to make change and implement change. And so with some of the things that we've been able to do as the council, as far as with veterans and with youth, it's been exciting and fun. I've just thoroughly enjoyed it.
Have you also learned that the process can sometimes be tiring and straining because of sometimes how government moves slowly?
Yes, government moves very slow, and so you pass something and then you're hoping, okay, we can get started, but it doesn't happen like that. It's a very slow process, things don't always go the way you want it to go. So you think you have this great idea, but not everybody thinks it's a great idea, even though you think it's fantastic. So, but you learn. I've learned a lot along the way, and it's been great.
So before we did this interview, you recorded a statement to voters. You mentioned that your priorities are youth and veterans. Talk about why that's important to you.
Young people really are the foundation of the community. They're what's going to keep Fall River going, and so I am a big believer in investing in young people because that's prevention 101. So you're preventing when you invest in your young people and you invest giving them things to do and you invest in their education, but giving them a sense of connectedness to the community. That is so important to do because that really is the front line for stopping young people. Community connectedness stops people from joining gangs, getting involved in drugs. When you have a sense of community and connection to that, it really helps shape one's development for entrepreneurship, it's your leadership positions, and really gives young people a purpose. And that's so important as we continue to move forward in Fall River. We want our young people to flourish here and stay here and be involved. So that's very important to me. And our veterans, I've always been a big veteran supporter. In my private world, I'm a psychotherapist and I have done a lot of work with veterans. I'm very grateful for our veteran community, our active military. And so anything that we can do to give back to them. And I think there's just so much more. I have so many ideas and so much more that I want to do for veterans, for our younger veterans, and how to get them engaged in things. Our Afghanistan and our Iraq war veterans, how do we engage them and find common ground for things for them to do is very important to me. So I have a lot of ideas for that. But taking care of those that take care of us, that allow me to be who I am, is of the utmost importance.
Yeah. A lot of things that are facing Fall River residents, specifically over the past few years since COVID, has been inflation, the high cost of living. Housing seems to be a huge issue, not only in Fall River, across the country as rents rise. How can you as a city councilor help propose ideas to help people in terms of making ends meet through either some policy changes or some recommendations even to the mayor's office?
We have to work, and this is why I say we have to work together. You cannot get anything done in silos. We have to look for solutions for our people in Fall River. I mean, this is a national problem. This is not a Fall River problem. Rents are skyrocketing. Kids are staying home longer. You're not seeing kids leave at 20, 21, 20. They are staying home with their parents. So what can we do? That is one of the reasons why the youth initiative that I proposed were not just for low-income families. In fact, they were for middle class families as well, because we see that the middle class is no longer able to afford the things that they were once able to afford. And so doing things like that, how can we alleviate the burden for our taxpayers in the city, and what can we do? I don't know if, on the city council we can solve the housing crisis, but we can propose ideas to our legislative bodies and our mayor's office of what can be done. Homelessness is a big problem, so working collectively on the homeless problem is a huge thing that we need to do. It's a problem nationally, but what can we do different in Fall River that we're not doing exactly what other communities are doing wrong? What can we learn from that, and what can we do better?
Yeah. I also want to talk a little about public safety. I know that Chief Garvin has talked before the council about, and I've talked to him about it as well, where he said, at one time years ago there used to be many recruits who want to be police officers, but there was no money to bring them on. Now it's sort of the opposite. There's not as many recruits, but the city has money and incentives to bring police officers on. I know that you supported the budget and the patrolman's union contract that will help in that area. Is there anything else that a city council can do in terms of supporting police so we can get more police on the street?
Listen, I will support the police. I will back the blue. I will say it. I'm not ashamed to say it. We need to support our police. Safety is so important. So what do our police, what do our police need from us? How do we support them? Giving them all of the revenue that they need to do their job is what we can do to support our police department. Listening to the union, listening to the chief, what do our police officers need? Our vote should always be safety, public safety in our community.
Yeah. There's in speaking to the mayoral candidates, I asked the question that, whoever is elected mayor this year will play a big role in what may be the future development of the waterfront with Route 79. Even though it won't be done until 26, at least plans can start to be made. As the city council, how can the council play a role in bringing up ideas to what can help boost economic development, not only on the waterfront, but say there's plans in the Flint to try to make economic development better here in the city?
So I have to say, I was totally blessed to be able to serve on the Economic and Tourism Development Committee. And just the other day, we learned that, for me, how thriving the waterfront is, and different yacht clubs that are down there and boats that are coming in. And so serving on those committees, finding, there are some issues down there, but finding ways to improve some of those problems that are down there, make it better, make it more attractive. So I'm hoping if I get reelected, I can continue to serve on those, because I think in those subcommittees, a lot of work can be done. And I also serve on ordinance and legislation, and that's where you end up bringing these ideas and you can make great changes. So I've been really, really blessed to be able to serve on a wide variety of committees where you bring ideas and then can bring them over and make actual changes. It's been great.
Yeah. The role of a city council and councilors are sort of a check and balance to the mayor's office, approving of the budget. How do you feel your learning in that vein has gone in 15 months? I mean, it's funny, when we talked when you were first appointed, literally the council was in the middle of budget
budget
season.
hearings. It was
like, how do I navigate that? So I mean, what did you learn in that process from year 1 to year 2?
So it's a lot of it was a lot. My first, here you are, his $300-something million budget to go through in a very short amount of time. I was kind of just thrown into it. Luckily, I've had a lot of experience in budgeting in my private world that I do, but it's a lot of work, and make no qualms about it. It's a lot of work, but to be in there, ask a lot of questions. I am of the mindset that I ask a lot of the questions that I've asked before the council meetings, preparing myself. So I will go to the mayor's office several times and ask questions to the city administrator, to department heads, and get a lot of those questions. So when I come down to the council floor, I'm prepared. I know what's in front of me. I've asked a lot of those questions. And sometimes I'm not happy with the answers that I've received, and I will bring that up at the on the council floor. But communication is Keith, it's huge, and so you have to communicate in order to get things done. And so I think that it's imperative for me, and how I believe that preparing prior to the meetings is very, very important. So you're not wasting the population's time, the community, our constituents, that you've answered a lot of those questions or gotten a lot of those answers before those meetings.
Councilor Laura Washington, I appreciate your time. Good luck on the 19th. And we'll have an opportunity to talk between now and November as well. We'll do this again.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you for joining us here at FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Please make a point to vote on Tuesday, September 19th.